you get this. Okay. Welcome to Carnation Rome. I think this is the largest number of Chinese people ever in Carnation Rome at one time.
我听说啦，我们这一群是有史以来最大一团的台湾人来到这里的。
Amen.
我有点私心哈，所以有点还没回神过来。
Can we just say that are we all Chinese here? Is that okay? Okay.
好，我们全部就都是华人，对吧？对。
All right. Anyway, I would like to introduce you to the mayor of Carnation Rome, Mr. Yigal Lahav.
好，我向为各位介绍我们的市长。
Hi, first, everybody speak English, no, Chinese and English, part of them. First, welcome to Carnation Rome.
所以首先欢迎各位来到这地。
I was in China only for 1 month. And China is amazing, big. Carnation Rome is like a small village in.
所以呢，我曾经到过中国呢1个月的时间，跟中国比起来啊，我们这地方只是小小的一块地方而已。
So first, welcome. Second, Carnation Rome is 7,500 people.
所以首先为向各位表达欢迎之意。那在我们这个地方呢，总共只有7500个人。
But when you hear about Israel in the newspaper, it's only 6 million. And the voice in the newspaper is like big than China, all the time Israel.
所以呢，各位你看呢，我们以色列呢只有600万人而已，可是它在世界上发出来的声音，就像整个中国一起发声一样的大。
Here we are living religion and unreligion together with the same town. And we have the problem, as you know, on the newspaper, on the television, especially with the buildings. If we want to put one building anywhere, we need the permission from the American and the Europe and the government. And this is crazy because you can't build nothing here.
所以呢，像各位所知道，我们在这里生活的一个比较大的问题就是。就是在我们在建筑上面的话，我们要建一个地方，我们必须要同时获到欧美各地有管辖权的这些人的允许之后，我们才可以建立。
I didn't understand. The idea is that we try to live. I live here for more than 30 years in this area from the first people that come in, and we enjoy from the nature that we have everywhere, and we are just 25 kilometers from the beach. So we are really in the center of Israel, and we welcome everybody that arrive, and especially if they are from Chinese, because really an amazing country. Yes.
好，大意是说，我们这个地区是在以色列的中心地带，我们的地大概有不会说很大，就是在这里。那我们在这里非常欢迎各位来到这个地方。
Geographics, if you take 2 points in China, between the west and the east, the west side is more close to Israel than from the east to the west in China. So it's not so far away to come to Israel more.
好，所以呢，如果我们从中国的观点来看的话，你看中国的西方呢，离以色列其实是很近的，对不对？所以并没有很远啊。
So if there is any question about the life in Israel, the life in Carnation Rome,
所以如果在各位要离开以色列之前啊，离开这里之前，各位有没有什么问题的话，可以提问？有没有
？Not everybody, one by one.
好。
可能要接触中国的劳工啊，可以过来帮他们种树啊、看老人啊、带孩子啊，可以来学校。
Since you are making your building and construction thing, is there any possible which China or Chinese can help to build, to plant the tree, to take care of the old people, and to other things?
First, I don't want to explain more than me, but yes, Chinese can help Israel and can help Kalashnikov. For example, one of the biggest company in Israel, Tnuva, was buying just the last day by the Chinese company. But I think that the best is to see more Chinese in Israel as a tourist. I think that there is not enough.
好，所以呢，这个关于这部分的帮助的话，其实 Sandra 等一下会有一些说明啊。那其实各位的帮助呢，其实中国人已经有买下了一个公司在营运哈，然后还有一些部分是属于观光业上面，也给我们很大的帮助了。
There is more Israeli tourists in China than China tourists in Israel. And if you will go back to the house and you will explain that Israel is amazing, with good food, beautiful women, nice guy, beautiful beach, maybe they come home.
OK， 所以呢，各位呢，相较于以色列到中国的人数来讲的话，其实中国人呢来到以色列的人非常的多，所以也希望各位回去的时候，就是多多的宣传以色列有美丽的风景，有很好的人。很好的人，好，所以希望各位能够多带一些人过来我们以色列。
I think that we have a lot of common between Israel and China. You build your country amazing. You start from nothing, and now you're one of the big and strong nations. And I think that you can bring more things to the world by innovation, by construction, everything.
所以我相信呢，中国从一无所有开始建设到现在这样的情况，也是让我们非常受激励的。因此，我也希望可以借重各位呢，能够帮助我们这里，然后让这里的可以有一些观摩，类似这样的。
So just the last one, there is another question. You need to be our ambassador. When you're going back, just level for 10 people. And if 5 will come, it will be amazing.
好，所以我请求各位当我们的大使。当你们回去的时候，请告诉10个人，只要有5个人愿意来我们以色列，那就真的是太好了。Okay.
And if Shanghai will make us with us, or another big city as a twin city, we'll be very happy.
啊，所以呢，因为这么多的人来到我们这里的话，到我们的城市呢，有一个双子星的城市出来，会变大的话，那我们就真的非常的高兴了。
Thank you. Enjoy.
好，谢谢各位，谢谢，尽情享受。
Thank you, Yigal. Okay, first of all, wait. I want to pass these around. I'd love to get people's name and address and especially email because we can continue sending you information from Israel on a regular basis.
好，所以呢，首先我要把这个几个板子传下去啊，请各位呢可以在上面留下你的资料，特别是要留下 email 的资料，那让我们可以在之后呢可以持续有联络。
Now our information goes out in English, so I hope you will be able to understand the English.
那因为我们的讯息是用英文来发送的，希望各位能够了解这是英文的信息。
But if someone here would like to volunteer to translate a monthly letter into Mandarin, talk to me, and then we can start sending things out once a month in Chinese.
但是呢，我也征求有没有人你愿意自动来要加入每个月代导性的中文翻译的工作，那你就来跟我讲，我就会开始每个月寄英文的给你。
We already send letters out in German, Dutch, and Czech.
好，所以我们已经开始发送其他不同的语言，包括德文、German、Dutch， 还有荷兰，还有捷克。
We're waiting for someone who's about to translate our work into Spanish as well.
好，那当然我也希望有人也可以把它翻成西班牙文。
And I just want to, before I start my basic explanation, I want to continue the answer that Yigal gave to the question, how can we help you?
好，所以在我正式的一些报告之前呢，我想先回答刚刚所问的一个问题，就是我们如何能够帮助你们。
I've given everybody, has everyone received this brochure?
所以每个人这边都有拿到这张单张吗？
If anyone doesn't have, raise
有
your
没有
hands.
的？没有的，来举个手。
And Olivia will bring one to you.
好，你举个手，等一下有人会拿给你。
Okay. Inside is an envelope and a card.
好，在里 头你会发现一个信封，还有一张卡片。
We represent Christian Friends of Israeli Communities.
好，我们所代表的是以色列社区的一个我们是代表以色列社区。
We're an organization that works very closely with Christian Friends of Israel.
我们的机构呢，跟基督徒以色列是有非常密切的合作。
And we focus on helping the people who live here in Judea and Samaria.
我们特别关注是住在撒玛利亚地区的这些犹太人。
So if any,
不对，就是以色列人。
So we have many projects. You can see that on our website. If any of you are interested in supporting our work or some of our communities, you can do that by putting money in this envelope or filling out your credit card information here and making a donation in that way.
所以在我们的网站上面，你可以看到我们有许多的事工。那如果你有感动的话，你可以看那个信封呢，你可以放进现金，或者是写上信用卡的那个号码。那你可以把它交给我们来帮助我们。
Now, where you were today, you visited a number of communities. Every community that you visited has received support from Christians via Christian Friends of Israeli Communities.
所以今天各位所参观的许多的犹太社区，其实都接受了基督徒以色列之友来自于基督徒的捐款，都是通过 CFI 来传送出去，都是有连接的。
Some of you were in Ying-Ta and here in Carnation, Rome. Some of you were in Har Bracha and Kidumim. We have the other bus that got lost. They were in Ofra. These are just a few of the communities that Christians from all over the world are helping.
所以有许多他刚刚提到的许多的犹太社区，包括我们刚刚去过的那个基督米那个地方，还有这边，他们都接受来自世界各地的基督徒的人的帮助。
Alright, you know, I'm going to move here so I'm in the middle. Okay, this is better, right? See both sides. Okay, now what I would like to do is give you part 2 of the talk I gave you on Tuesday morning.
好，所以我今天要做的呢，就是要讲第2集哈，因为上次礼拜2跟各位讲第1集，现在要讲第2集。
So you remember on Tuesday morning we talked about the biblical connection of the Jewish people to the heartland, to this part of Israel, to Judea and Samaria.
好，在礼拜2的时候，我跟你们讲过一个圣经的基础，它的根源呢，跟这个圣经中心地带的一个连结关系。
Well, today I'd like to tell you a little bit more about the modern history and some of the issues we face today.
那但是今天我要跟各位讲一下，在今日世界上我们所遇到的一些课题。
So if you open this brochure, you will see a map.
好，在各位打开这个单张，你会看到一个地图。
And this, by the way, is something we would love to translate into Mandarin. So again, if there's an explanation of this map, someone would like to translate it. And if there are people who want to receive it in China, we can make that happen.
好，所以呢，背后你就看到有很多的事工一些介绍，也希望有人呢，你有感动，要为这个事工的这些东西来翻成中文啊，希望你就跟我联络。
Okay, anyway, this is a map of the center of Israel.
那各位看到的这张地图呢，其实就是以色列的中心地带。
This is Jerusalem.
我们看到他所指的地方，那个是耶路撒冷。
And you were in Jerusalem and you came north today.
好，我们本来是在耶路撒冷，但是今天我们往北走。
And you came up this area, you all went to biblical Shiloh, which is right here.
好，那我们往北走，我们刚刚就去过了示罗。
Okay, now some of you also went to Ying-Ta, which is right here.
啊，有的人有去这个非树这个地方。
Some of you went to Kidumim, which is right here.
好，那基督米是台湾团呢，刚刚是去这个地方基督米。
Some of you also, did you see Mount Gerizim? Yes, you went to Mount Gerizim. Good.
No, we went to Kidumi.
But before that? Harabracha, that's Mount Gerizim. Okay. Here, Harabracha and
好，
Mount
我刚去
Gerizim.
祝福之山在那里哈。
Okay. Now, where you are right now is Carnation Road, which is right here.
好，那我们现在就在这个他所指的这个地方。
Carnation Road.
好，这个叫 Carnation Road。
Okay. Now, if you'll see in the middle of this is the middle of Israel. There's this large area, relatively large area, everything relative to China is small, but relatively large area with this green line around it.
好，所以呢，各位看到在这个一个很大的一块地方哈，就是有围起来这一大地方哈，我们来看这一块哈。
Now this is an area of the country that the rest of the world calls the West Bank.
那这一大块的地方就是世界各地所称为的西岸的地方。
We call it Judea and Samaria.
我们称这个地方叫做犹大跟撒玛利亚地区。
Judea is Jerusalem and south, and Samaria is north of
犹
Jerusalem.
大地呢，就是耶路撒冷以南之地。那撒玛利亚呢，就是在这上面以上的地方，以北的地方。
Now this is an area that was illegally occupied by Jordan from 1949 to 1967.
所以这个地方呢，被约旦呢非法的占领了，从到1949年到1967年的时间。
Because in 1948, when Israel became a state, Israel was attacked from all sides by 5 Arab nations.
所以自从以色列在1948年建国以来，他就从四面呢被各个国家给围攻。
Now when the war ended, this green line was the ceasefire line.
所以呢，当战争结束的时候，这个绿色的线所围起来的地方，就有一个战线暂停的地方战事暂停停火区
It was not a border.
所以它并没有一个明显的界限。
Because no one in the Arab world was willing to sit down and have a peace treaty with Israel.
所以因为在这个地方的这所有的人呢，都不想跟以色列有一个停火的一个协议。
So actually, Jordan claimed this area. Israel also claimed this area.
所以呢，约旦呢就宣称这地是属于他们所有，可是以色列也宣称这是他们的国土。
But it was never decided.
但是到现在还没有达成协议。
The Palestinians, however, before 1967, did not claim this area.
但是事实上呢，在1967年以前呢，巴勒斯坦人并没有宣称这一块地是他们。
The only place they claimed was what was in Israel's hands from 1948 to 1967.
所以他们唯一宣称为他们所有的是在以色列手中的，这那几年我又忘记了，我对年不能记数字。19年到67年这段时间是在以色列手中的这一块地是巴勒斯坦人宣称他们的。
The Palestinians, before 1967, claimed the Galilee, the coast, and the Negev.
所以他们在1967年的时候宣称加利利这个地方是他们的。那其实说是他们的。再来。
The Jordanians annexed this, and actually their annexation was only recognized by 2 countries, Great Britain and Pakistan.
等一下，因为我没有听到，这边可不可以免费？因为我对这个东西不是很熟谢谢。
犹大这个地方呢，其实那个时候宣告主权的只有英国和巴基斯坦。
Definitely. You have it right.
所以呢，约旦把这个地区呢吞并了以后呢，真正承认这个地区属于约旦的话呢，当时只有英国和巴基斯坦2个国家。
Okay.
差不多。
Whatever. Anyway, in 1967, Jordan attacks Israel from this area.
在1967年呢，约旦又攻打以色列，就是在这个地区。
And this is a mountain area. Everywhere where you were today, you were in the mountains.
这一片呢都是山地，我们今天所看的所有这些地区 在山上。
And so they have an advantage over the people here. This is on the coast, low down.
在高处的人呢，对于这个低处的，就是靠近海边这个，他们是有优势的。
And yet, miraculously, Israel won and pushed the Jordanians all the way east of the Jordan River, and this is Jordan today, over here.
但是非常奇迹的，非常有奇迹性的事件发生了。以色列呢，竟然是从海岸这边呢一直推，把这个约旦这个军队呢是推到约旦河的那边去了。
Now, in 1994, Jordan formally gave up any claim to this area.
1994年呢，约旦就宣布说，我们再也不去想占领这个地区了，和我们没有关系了。
And after 1967, after Israel came into this area, that was the first time that the Palestinians claimed this area.
奇怪的是，1967年，当约旦人撤出去以后，以色列占领这个地区以后呢，巴勒斯坦人进来说，哎，这地区是我们的。
Basically, if I'm going to summarize it then, the Palestinians have only ever wanted what Israel has.
所以呢，基本上来讲呢，巴勒斯坦人他就是想要以色列人有什么，他就要什么。
They have never really been interested in a state of their own.
他们不是真正说感兴趣，说他们要建一个自己的国家。
And every time they have been offered land to establish their state, they have said, no, it's not enough.
每一次呢，给他们一些地，说这个在这个地方你们建国嘛，他们就说不行，这个不够。
Because they're not interested in their own state, they're really only interested in destroying the only Jewish state.
他们其实不感兴趣建自己的国家，他们只感兴趣去毁灭像以色列这样的一个国家。
Now, unfortunately, most of the international community believes that there should be a Palestinian state in this area.
但是国际上的舆论认为呢，在这个地区的话呢，应该是建一个巴勒斯坦国的。
And the way they explain that, they explain it as if this was once a Palestinian homeland, and Israel has illegally occupied it, and so by all right, they need to get their homeland back.
他们的舆论的原则就是说，只要这个地区曾经被巴勒斯坦人做过的话，那么以色列如果进去的话，那就应该再交还给巴勒斯坦。
But in fact, as I showed you, this was never a Palestinian homeland.
可是事实上，这个地区从来就没有巴勒斯坦人住过。
And in fact, as I showed you on Tuesday, this was always the Jewish homeland.
就像礼拜二我给你们大家展示的一样，这个地区从来都是以色列人、犹太人居住的地方。
But still, over the years, we did make transfers of land, lots of land, to the Palestinians. Everything that is brown and yellow has already been given to the Palestinians as a sort of autonomy.
但是这么多年以来，其实呢，我们以色列给了巴勒斯坦很多的地了。你像上面这个棕褐色的这些地区呢，其实都已经给了他们。
But every time we have given them territory or land, what they do is they turn that land into a base of operations against Israel.
每一次我们给他们土地的时候，他们就把这些地用来去再一次的攻击以色列。
And in fact, here at the western edge of Israel is the Gaza Strip, which we completely withdrew from back in 2005, almost 9 years ago. Gaza's here, off the map.
在加沙这个地方，在加沙这个地带的话，他们撤出了。2015年的话，以色列完全撤出了。
And in fact, if they wanted, they could establish a Palestinian state in Gaza. There's no one there. There's no Jews there at all.
所以他们现在就想在那个地方去建巴勒斯坦国，可是那个地区其实根本没有犹太人。
But instead of establishing a state, what they have done is turned Gaza into the largest terrorist base in the world.
他们其实不是要在那个地方建国，而只是想把那个加沙地带呢变成一个最大的进行恐怖袭击的基地。
So even when people in Israel have been willing to compromise, what has happened is every time we've given them something, what we have received in return is not peace, but more terrorism and more war.
所以每次以色列人呢想要妥协，说我给你一些，能够给我一些和平，但是呢，每一次给他们越多，他们就要越多。
So frankly, I believe that we need to stop making compromises
他个人就认为说，一定要停止这种妥协。
We need to start learning lessons from such big countries like China.
我们希望能够从一些很大的国家，比如说从中国去学习。
We need to say this is ours.
我
It's
们要
ours.
说，这就是我们的。
Anybody who knows anything about history.
每个人只要你知道历史。
Now, am I causing problems between China and Taiwan here?
我是不是在中国和台湾之间交流？
But you each say we're China. Anyway, but for us, this is Israel, and there's no other people on earth who have ever called the land of Israel home except the Jewish people.
这就是我们的以色列国，在这个世界上没有任何其他种族的人称这个地方为他们的祖国。
And as Christians, you know that better than anyone because you believe that what's written in the Bible is true.
作为基督徒，我们其实比世界上任何人都清楚，因为这在圣经上就是这么写的。
So what I think needs to happen is that Christians all over the world need to be able to raise their voices and say, we know and we believe that the land of Israel, all the land of Israel, belongs to the Jewish people.
所以呢，作为基督徒，其实是应该在世界上发出更多的声音，告诉这个世界说，这就是以色列，而且这片土地是属于犹太人的。
And many people say that Jews or Israel is a racist country.
很多人就说这个犹太人呢，在以色列，其实他们这个国家是有种族歧视的这样的一个国家。
But that's ridiculous.
这个很荒唐。
We believe that we have a right to our own country.
我们相信我们在自己的国家是有主权的。
As every nation has a right to their own country.
每一个国家都有自己的主权。
But we welcome people of all faiths and all races to come and visit with us and be friendly with us and have alliances with us.
我们事实上是欢迎各个种族、各个就是颜色的、皮肤的人来到自己的国家。
And I think you people here in this room, who are really the first Chinese group to ever come to Carnation-Rome,
我相信今天你们作为华人是第一个这样的一群人来到我们这个城市。
you can be the beginning or the spearhead of an alliance, an important alliance between the people of Israel, the people of biblical Israel, and the people of Asia.
你们是个急先锋，你们是把真的是在以色列和那些和亚洲紧紧的连接在了一起。
And I know that your political systems work very differently than our political systems.
我们两国的政治制度不同。
And I don't know how it works in your countries to have influence on your government.
你们的政府怎么影响你们的，我们是特别清楚。
But I believe that there is a way, as more and more Chinese people begin to learn about Israel,
但是我相信越来越多的中国人会
that one day we will see a real alliance between China and Israel.
有一天我会看到，在中国和以色列之间有一些真正的连结。
And as the mayor just mentioned earlier, our largest dairy company has just been bought by a Chinese company.
像大家所知道的，以色列最大的一个乳制品产业的一个公司，刚刚被中国的一个公司收购。
And let's hope that one day the milk that is produced here in the land of Israel, here in biblical Israel, the land of milk and honey, will find its way one day to China as well.
所以我们就说，有一天呢，在这个地方，牛奶与蜜之地所产出来的乳制品呢，有一天会进入到中国。
Okay, does anybody have any questions that they want to ask now?
提问。
Chinese and she'll translate.
Well, I heard that Israel and China we have very good like in business, we have very good connection. But in politics, as we heard, China vote against Israel actually in many cases. So I'd like to know what do Israeli people they think of China generally.
他在问这个问题就是说，中国和以色列之间呢，其实有一些就是尤其是政府这个层面上，中国政府呢在安理会投票的时候，曾经是投了反对票， 不是对中国不反对啊，是对这个巴勒斯坦这个事情呢是曾经是投了对以色列不利的票。那么这个事情发生以后呢，以色列人对这个事情看中国就是该怎么看，有什么看法？
Well, I think people in Israel know that China is not a democracy in the way we understand it. And therefore, the government policy in China does not necessarily reflect how people in China feel.
他就说呢，因为我们了解中国呢不是一个非常民主的国家，所以当政府做了这样的一个决定的时候，其实并不真正能够反映中国的国民他们怎么想。
And I think that all Israelis, we heard just now our mayor, he just became mayor 6 months ago, and before that he was a businessman.
就像我们刚才看到的这边的那个市长，他呢就是实际上成为市长才6个月，在以前呢他都是自己做生意的。
And when he was a businessman, he was in China once for 1 month.
他以前呢在中国做过生意，在那待了1个月。
And all the Chinese people he met in his business relations were wonderful people who were very happy to do business with Israel.
他那个时候所遇到的很多的一些生意上的伙伴，一些中国人对他特别的好，都很喜欢和以色列做生意。
I'll tell you something else. I have a very good friend. He's actually a member of our board at CFYC.
我还要告诉你们另外一个故事，就是我有一个好朋友，他其实呢在CFOIC，就是他们那个组织里面，实际上那个人是在里面是做一个董事。
And he went with his wife on a tour of China a number of years ago, an organized tour.
他以前呢跟一个团到中国去，和
And
他们一起。
we came back. I asked him, "How was it?"
他们回来以后呢，这个山长就问他们怎么样。
And he's somebody who had traveled in a number of countries, but mostly in Europe and America.
他们呢，大部分的旅行呢是在欧洲和美国。
And he said, Sandra, it was the most amazing thing. China is a country that has never had anti-Semitism.
哦，他说很奇怪呀、当他去中国旅行的时候呢，中国竟然一点反犹的那个情绪都没有。
So it was very interesting that he said that because we have a very long, bad history with Europe, and we don't have such a wonderful history with the Muslim countries in the Middle East. But we've never had a problem with China.
他就是说，我们呢就是他是以色列呢和欧洲之间呢有一些非常不愉快的一些过去，包括在中东地区呢，一些穆斯林其实很恨他们，但是他们跟中国之间却从来没有什么问题。
The Chinese heritage has never hated Jews.
在整个中国的历史呢，都没有仇恨过犹太人。
So for us in Israel, we see China as an unexplored territory, a place where there's real opportunity, not just for business, but for people-to-people relationships, because we don't have a bad history to overcome.
对于以色列人来说呢，中国是一个待开发之地，在那个地方呢，不单单是做生意，而且是可以和中国人发展关系的，因为没有任何的坏的一些以前的一些历史。
Any other questions?
还有没有其他的问题？他想问说，为什么犹太人这么有钱？
Okay, well, the truth of the matter is the Jews are very hardworking people.
他说最主要的是因为我们很勤劳，
There are a lot of wealthy Jews,
是有很多有钱的犹太人，
but there's also a lot of poor Jews.
但是也有很多没钱的。
But what we do see as a people is that Jews, everywhere they went, like for example, American Jews they are percentage-wise among the wealthiest people in America of a group.
当犹太人呢，就比如说在美国的犹太人是他们在最富有的那个里面占有很大的一个比例。
But in 1900, there were almost no Jews in America.
但是1900年的时候呢，在美国几乎是没有犹太人，
The ones who were there were poor.
大部分都是很贫穷。
And most of the Jews who live in America today came into the country between 1900 and 1925.
现在在美国的犹太人大部分是在1900年到1925年这个期间进入美国的，
And they came with absolutely nothing.
他们是一无所有进去的。
They were refugees, they were persecuted in Europe, and they were running away from the murderous pogroms of Russia and Eastern Europe.
他们当时是被欧洲这样驱逐出来，就作为难民，因为当时的那个俄罗斯很多欧洲的国家都赶逐他们。
And then there was a later group that came running away from Hitler or having survived the concentration camps and the death camps of Germany.
后来又有一批呢是从德国从集中营当中呢生存出来的侥幸人。
And again, they came with absolutely nothing.
他们也一样一无所有过去的。
So the people who have money today, for example, in America, the Jews who have become wealthy are Jews who started with nothing and only through hard work and brains managed to succeed.
所以呢，现在在美国真的是非常有钱的犹太人，他们都是因为工作非常勤奋，而且呢，同时他们有个好脑袋。
There's one other group in the United States that has a very similar pattern.
还有一个族群呢，在美国的，他们有一个差不多的一个这么一个形式，
And that's the Chinese.
那就是中国人。
My mother is a professor of English literature.
他的妈妈是英国文学的教授。
And her specialty is Jewish American literature and Chinese American literature.
所以他主攻是犹太英文写作和中文英文写
Chinese American literature and Jewish American literature.
中美的这个文学写作。
And she has done research on the subject of how these two groups are so similar when they came to America because they were both smart and they were both hardworking.
他就发现这两个族群的人呢，到美国的这个人呢，有两个共同的特点，就是两个族群都特别的勤奋，同时呢，两个族群的人很聪明。
And the same thing in Israel. Everything you see in Israel today, we started with nothing.
就跟今天的以色列一样，这个国家也是从一无所有开始的。
The land was a desert,
整个国家就是在沙漠地上，
except where it was a swamp.
俄罗斯的经济就是好像那些经济地一样。
People came here with absolutely nothing, and with hard work and brains, grew a country.
人们一无所有来到这里，通过自己勤奋的工作和自己的聪明才智建立起了这个国家。
So I think that's really the secret to success. Using your brain that God gave you, but using it, studying it, excelling in what you're doing, and working hard.
所以这可能就是成功的秘密吧。你非常当你有这样的一个聪明才智的话，就反复的在聪明才智上去做很勤奋的工作，去不断的去学习、去钻研，直到真正的最后能够成功。
And there's one more ingredient.
还有一个
God's blessing.
是神的祝福。
Because we would be nowhere if God would not have blessed our efforts. And here in Israel in particular, God is blessing our efforts because this is part of His plan.
如果离开了神的祝福，我们一切的努力都是没有用的，因为实在是以色列是他的一部分的计划。
You're welcome. Any other questions? No question. Now, I am not personally involved with the media, but there are offices connected with the government of Israel who are very involved in that. And if you like, if you want to give me a card, I can connect you with somebody in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs who can work with you on that and see. I think the idea of bringing a group of Chinese journalists to Israel and showing them a different portrait of the country is a brilliant idea, and we can talk about that afterwards. Israel does do these kinds of tours for journalists, but maybe they need to be focusing more on China than what they've done until now.
姐妹问说，可不可以邀请一些中国的记者来到以色列，来多了解这个国家？因为媒体呢，其实是影响很大的。那刚才三长就说是非常欢迎，他甚至也认识一些人，在这个媒体这方面是有联系的。对，希望能够有更多的人了解以色列。
Okay, there was another question over there. Okay, I am not a Christian. Okay, I am an Orthodox Jew. I am not a Christian. And what I do is I speak to Christians from a perspective of a Jew.
刚才弟兄就问了一个问题，说以色列人经历了如此多的苦难，是不是因为犹太人今天没有回转归向神？然后呢，山塔就讲说他自己本身也不是基督徒他是一个就是传统的犹太人。
But and so I certainly don't believe that the fact we have not accepted Christ is the reason that we have been persecuted. I believe that Christians have used that as a reason to justify horrible crimes against Jews.
他本人其实并不相信说犹太人遭遇这么多的灾难，是因为他们不信耶稣的缘故。他觉得呢，是这里面是有一些其他的原因。
And in fact, for many, many centuries, most Christians believed that Christianity had replaced Judaism for that very reason, and that the church was now going to receive the blessings that God had promised to the Jewish people.
实际上呢，很多的基督徒呢，就是用这样的一些
I know, but I mean that בסוף בקסים זה חדש. כן, כן, לא, אני יודעת.
他实际上呢是刚才讲说，发生这些灾难呢，给很多基督徒一个理由，他们就觉得说，神是用这些来这些事情发生的，基督徒用这些事情来去论断这些犹太人，所以呢，以后呢，甚至产生一些替代神学，就觉得说，不再用犹太人，只是就是说用这个外邦的基督徒就好。
And so today, the establishment of the state of Israel and the continuing miracle that is the success and the expansion of Israel is become an eye-opener. It has become an awakening to Christians all over the world who realize that God is still faithful to His promise to His people and that the Jews have not been replaced by the church.
所以呢，但是今天的一切的事实证明，以色列呢现在是发展的这么的好，证明呢神一直在祝福以色列，他一直在关注着他的以色列，而并不是说像很多基督徒认为的可以用替代神学把这些事情就这样过去。
So as a result, that approach that you suggested or that you questioned is an approach that is really today. We have to reject, I think Christians and Jews alike, Jews have always rejected it, but you have to reject that understanding because the Jews have come back to the land of Israel and they have not accepted Christianity, and we are not going to accept Christianity. So I think Christians today need to step back and say, I guess God has a plan for the Jewish people after all. Christians may not yet understand what that plan is, but they have to understand that God is working directly with the Jews and is not trying to turn them into Christians.
所以他现在就在讲说，其实呢，神没有逼着这个犹太人呢都成为基督徒，他们现在呢整个的这个犹太人呢还是在神的计划当中的，神依然去祝福他的犹太子民。
Okay? Yes. You know, I think we're going to cut this line of questioning because when Jews and Christians meet, it is on the basis of a respect for each other's faith. And I don't think we need to come here and discuss the New Testament. That is something that you can do among yourselves. I don't want to get into that kind of debate. I'm here as a Jew, you're here as Christians. We each know what each other believes, and I think we need to just leave it at that, that we can respect each other's faith and not enter into any kind of a debate.
刚才弟兄又问关于新约他们怎么样看？那个三友就说呢，我们作为犹太人的话呢，我们也尊重基督徒，基督徒也应该尊重犹太人，我们彼此尊重对方的信仰，所以这个事情我们就不做进一步讨论。Yes.
Between the brown and... Okay. The brown
弟兄问呢，这个地图上，我们手里有的地图上面看到有那个棕色的，有黄色的，这个代表这个颜色都是什么意思？然后还有旁边有注明说有一些时间上面写的，那个都是什么意思
Okay, yes. Right, I'll explain. That is what I referred to, but I'll explain it. The brown areas were given to the Palestinian Authority to under exclusive control, the ground.
这个棕色呢是给那个巴勒斯坦的。
The Palestinians have total security and civilian control in the ground areas.
在这个棕色的地区呢，他们是有严格的控制的。
The yellow areas were jointly controlled by Israel and the Palestinian Authority, where Israel retains security control and the Palestinian Authority has civilian control.
所以在黄色的地区呢，是两个地区的人，两个地方的人呢，他们都有一定的控制权。
Now the rest of the area remains in complete Israeli control.
在其他的没有其他颜色标识的地方呢，是完全是以色列来掌控的。
Now two things happened to change that. First of all, in 2000, the Arabs launched a very bad terrorism war against Israel.
有两件事情发生，一个是2000年的时候呢，这个阿拉伯人呢，他们有发动一次非常猛烈的恐怖袭击。
Now initially, Israel did not go into the brown areas at all because these had already been given to the Palestinian Authority, including to their security control.
所以呢，所有这些棕色的地区的话呢，以色列人呢，他们是不允许被进入的，因为没有任何的其他的保障。
But beginning in 2003, when the terrorism war was so bad, the Israeli army started going into the brown areas in order to capture terrorists and stop the terrorist attacks.
但是2003年的时候呢，因为实在是恐怖袭击太多了，那以色列的士兵呢就进入到这些棕色的这个地区去抓捕那些就是嫌犯。
So today, effectively, the Palestinian Authority has full civilian control over both brown and yellow areas.
现在呢，就是巴勒斯坦人呢，对于这个棕色和黄色地区呢，他们还是有一定的控制权。
But the IDF, the Israeli army, retains security control over the entire area so that we can prevent the terrorist attacks.
但是呢，以色列的士兵还是对整个地区呢，他们都有一定的军事控制，就是为了能够制止这些恐怖攻击。
Now, in 2005, we completely left Gaza, as I mentioned, and at the same time, we just left and destroyed 4 communities in Samaria. We left and destroyed.
他说呢，2005年刚才也提到加沙地带呢，所有的犹太人全部都撤出，而且呢，在他指的这个地区呢，有几个小的那个社区的话，犹太人撤出以后就把那个社区毁掉了。
So that there are no Jews living in this area at all.
所以他手比的这个地区的话呢，是没有犹太人居住的。
And these were things that were done in order to try to bring us closer to a peace agreement with the Palestinians.
虽然这样子的话呢，我们就是和巴勒斯坦人稍微有。
But it didn't work because, as I explained earlier, they're really not interested in peace. They're just interested in keeping attacking us until we no longer exist.
本来以为能够做一定的妥协，但是实际上呢，阿拉伯人巴勒斯坦并不买账，所以呢，这个只会让他们变本加厉的需要很多的努力。
Okay, anyway, I think we have run out of time. You have a long trip up to the Galilee yet.
Yeah.
I want to thank you all so very much for coming here today and for spending a day with us in Samaria.
他说你的时间已经过了嘛，你们等一下还有很长的旅途。他再一次的感谢大家来和我们和他共度的这个体验。
And I want to invite you to come back.
还有欢迎你们再回来。
We have some material here on the table. Any of you who read or understand English, we have books and we have DVDs that you might be interested in.
他在那边呢，他们有自己的 DVD 啊，还有些书啊。
And we have drinks and cookies still available for any of you who want. There are toilets out in the hall. And please make sure, everyone, that you've put your name and at least email addresses on one of our sign-up sheets.
两边呢，后面这边后面都有饮料啊，还有小点心。然后呢，再往出走的话，有洗手间，大家可以在这边休息一下。然后还有一个他嘱咐就是说，如果你愿意不愿意的话呢，在刚才他发的那个笔记本那个板子上写上你的 email 地址嘛。